Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Francesa podcast on the Bet Rivers Network, brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. This is our live program on the Mike Francesa channel on the Bet Rivers Network on YouTube. As I've told you, in the summer, we're going to periodically do some live shows like this. And right now, there's a lot going on, so it's a good time for a live program. But once we hit the fall, once we get back to our regular September schedule, we are going to be doing live shows on a regular basis. So look for them. We will talk more about that as we hit August and as we get ready for the NFL season. I can't wait. Get ready for the college football season. Can't wait. And, get ready for the pennant races, which are going to be interesting. Now, I was at Citi Field last night, so I got a lot to talk about with the Yankees and the Mets. I'm going to put that on the back burner for a second. Normally, you would never bounce the Subway Series. That would be the headline. That would be the show opener. But the Knicks made a trade last night that buzzed through the stadium and put a smile on my face because I never thought that they could get Bridges from the Nets. I know what they gave them. Some people might think they gave them too much in terms of picks, in terms of future. But people who say that don't understand Bridges' worth. Bridges' worth is not in what you see in those stats, folks. And people saying, oh, he never made an All-Star team. Who cares? That's not what this is about. It's not about Bridges making the All-Star team. It's not about Bridges scoring 25 points a game, which he can do at any point if he wants to, as he did when he came over last year. This is about the chemistry to build a championship team, and the Knicks are getting so close. Now, they aren't there yet. Bridges doesn't make them whole. They have some moves to make, and it's going to be fascinating as we get ready for the NBA draft. It's not going to happen for the Knicks in the draft. They're going to get some extra pieces there, but that's not what this is about. This is about right now putting the finishing touches on what they've done and give their executives great credit because they have not made one wrong move. Their moves have been terrific in every way. Now, you want a dream scenario? I'll give you the dream scenario, at least my dream scenario. I don't know if it can happen. I don't know how it will come out. And I'm not going to tell you how good I think the Knicks team is until I see the finished product. Now, what would the finished product look like for me? I would like to keep Isaiah here if they can. Listen, teams are going to give him a bunch of money. They may give him so much money that the Knicks are priced out completely on Hartenstein. It could happen, but it doesn't have to happen. The perfect scenario has the Knicks keeping OG, keeping Isaiah, trading Robinson, which I can see happening, trading Randall. That's the key for the Knicks. Trade Randall, trade Robinson, keep Isaiah Hartenstein, and keep OG. Add that with Bridges and the Villanova trio, which is now the Villanova quartet, and you have a team that can compete with any team in basketball, can compete with the Celtics, can compete with the Sixers, even if they add the right third piece to go with Embiid and Maxey. They compete with a healthy Bucks team. The Knicks can be right there. A team that would have Brunson and Bridges and Hart and Dante and their role players and OG and Isaiah, minus Robinson, minus Randall. That is the perfect team for the Knicks. That is the team you want for the Knicks. Now, I don't know what that configuration is going to look like. They could lose OG. They probably will lose Hartenstein. Oklahoma City is ready to make a big move on him. 3 or 4 teams are ready to make a move on him, and he might make as much as $20 million a year. I know it sounds crazy, but you know what? He did a good job. He deserves to get paid. Knicks want to keep him unlikely. OG is their first choice. They want to keep OG in the worst way, and they should. As I have told you many times, Hart raised the Knicks to one level. OG raised them to another level. Bridges will take them to another level. He's the perfect fit. Not a good fit, not an okay fit, the perfect fit. And this is not about whether he's the best, is he one of the best basketball players in the league? Is he this? Is he that? How many points is he going to score? Who cares? Don't get hung up on that stuff. Is he the right player for them? The answer is yes. Absolutely yes. He's perfect. He fits the chemistry perfectly. So getting Bridges here, I called it Christmas for the Knicks fans last night. It is. They have taken another big step forward. What is the finishing? Everyone wants to know right now, are they a championship contender? We need to see what they do with the available money they have and how they move the pieces. They can't keep all their guys. We know that. Some guys have to go. The guys you want to go are Randall. He's not the right fit for this group anymore. And Robinson, injury prone, hurts the offense. Yes, he's a great offensive rebounder and he's a good defender, but he's injured all the time and he stops the offense completely when he's in it. Isaiah plays perfectly in their offense. He fits their team in every way. If you had him backed up by Achua, you can live with that. Absolutely. Live with that in a big way. And keep OG. That's what you hope for. Now, like I said, not going to discuss where the Knicks are as far as titles go until we see them finish this project. This is not a finished painting yet. It's not finished. They have put all the borders in. They have put all the main ingredients in. But they have to now make the subtle changes that are needed to make this the masterpiece we hope it can be. And that means keep OG and keep Isaiah, but I don't expect them to do both. That would be asking too much. I'll take OG and realize I'm going to lose Hartenstein. If I can get OG and Hartenstein, they deserve, Executives of the Year awards for what they've done. But what they've done already, I never, ever, ever thought they could pry Bridges away from the Nets. Ever. I was stunned by it. I'm not getting into this from a net perspective. They screwed their team up royally. The moves they made, we talked about it. I told you I didn't like any of those moves they made. The players they brought in were disasters. When you go get aging superstar players, they ruin your squad. That is not what they did here with Bridges. They got an ultimate fit for what they want to do. It's perfect. Now they got to put the finishing touches on it. Now, to the baseball. Anybody, and I've talked about this a lot, anybody that doesn't understand the worth of the Subway Series just is a fool. And I've heard people talk about how it's played out, it's this, it's that. I've heard that commentary for the last couple of years. Nothing can be more wrong. All you got to do is be in that building last night. First of all, how many times have you seen that building full this year? The answer is what? Opening day and fireworks night? The Mets haven't been able to put anybody in that building. Their building's been empty. Last night, it wasn't only full, it was buzzing. You had people there. You had stars there. You had ex-players there last night. Piazza was there, okay? I talked to Kenny Smith. He was there. Reed Shepherd was there last night getting ready for the draft, and he's going to have, I think, a big night with the draft. I think he's going to go very, very high. Clearly a top 5 pick, could be even up to 3 by the time we get this done in the first round. You had people there. You had old Knicks. I even saw Matt Harvey there. You know, when I saw Matt Harvey on the screen last night, and I know he was sitting in the luxury box behind us, but I felt bad because I thought of what might have been. Boy, did anybody, when you look at Straw and Doc, you think about what their careers could have been. They had really good careers. They had careers that any player would dream about, but they didn't have the careers that those two should have had. They should have both had immortality. They don't. Matt Harvey I understand he had some freakish injuries, but his behavior also helped destroy his career, and his regrets must be just huge. Because he messed it up. He was given a gift and he messed it up. And it always takes me back to the natural, where they say talent isn't enough. And it's not. It's a blessing. It means a great deal. You have to have an immense amount of talent to be a special player, but it's just not enough. There's other things that have to come with it. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Matt Harvey had everything. And now, he comes to the stadium for a brief, moment in the sun. Terrible. His career just bothers me. It really does. But the Mets came in playing well. They came in with a renewed confidence. You can tell they have a little pep in their step. They're not 10 games under 500. Now they're 1 game under 500. They've been playing well. And last night they put a lineup on the field last night that was more dangerous and better than the Yankee lineup. The Yankees had the big two after Volpe leading off. But after that, good night to lights. I mean, right now the Yankees, who I'll get to in a minute, let's do the Mets first. The Mets are getting a lot of pop out of Vientos. This is his big chance. We know you're worried about his fielding. You're worried about his consistency. But one thing he has is he can take you out of the ballpark, and he took Cole out of the ballpark twice last night. He's got a lot of power. The Mets pounded on Cole last night. He wasn't ready. Listen, Cole's still in spring training. We know that. And he got hit really hard last night. And the Mets pounded out 4 home runs against them. And it was a big, big night for the Mets, which got a little scary. A little scary. When Judge, who's just immense, took an 0-2 pitch and somehow floated it out of the ballpark for a grand slam. Because when that ball was hit, it was a mile high. And I first looked at the center fielder. He made a motion to the right fielder that he had the ball. I got it. And as he backed up, I think he was shocked to see that ball was just going to keep carrying and went right out of the park, and all of a sudden you had a ball game. Yankees didn't mount a threat in the 9th inning. That's because the bottom of the lineup last night for the Yankees was it was like shades of last year. Okay? I'm not talking about Verdugo. Verdugo against a lefty is less formidable. We know that. But when you look at that lineup last night, Torres is having a terrible season. We know that. Rizzo's on the shelf, and he hasn't looked like Rizzo. But the Yankees last night put together a lineup that when you got past Judge, the guys who were penciled in, not the replacements, because Rice got a hit, Grisham got a walk, Wells got an RBI single. The guys who were penciled in the starting lineup after Judge last night went 1 for 20 with 9 strikeouts. Torres looks awful. Not only does he look awful, can he mind running the ball out? I mean, I would have yanked him. I don't think they had anybody left on the bench. I would have yanked him out of the game. I mean, he didn't even break a canter when he went down to first base on the ball to shortstop late in the game. He didn't even run at all. I mean, he is having a nightmare season in what will probably be his last season. Then let's get to LeMahieu. And I don't want to pick on LeMahieu, but let's be honest. The word you would use right now is decrepit. He's a ground ball to short. He has no power. Look at his slugging numbers. He doesn't lift the ball anywhere. And on a ball that Lindor topped for a base hit, that was a big base he gave up as he couldn't even bend over and pick up the baseball. I mean, he doesn't look old. He looks like he needs a rocking chair. And then, let's be honest, J.D. Davis, Rice, Jones, you don't want to see them in this lineup in big games. This is not what you're looking for. Now, I know a lot of people think the Yankees might be somehow collapsing. I don't think they're collapsing. Cole's going to get better. He's just going through really what's spring training, in essence. I think they need to go out and get a good reliever. I've said that all along. I've told you that about Holmes and about the back of the bullpen from the start of the season. This is a very big start for Heel tonight because is Heel coming back to earth or was it just a really bad outing against the Orioles? He didn't look great against the Dodgers. He got hit pretty hard in 5 innings. He then went 5 innings and gave a run against the Red Sox. And then he got pounded against the Orioles. They hit rocket after rocket after rocket. Is that going to happen tonight? Or is he going to go out there and give you 6 innings of the kind of baseball he was throwing in April and May? It's going to be very telling here. See, I know the Yankee fans are close to panic now. But remember a couple of things. Number one, the Orioles have hit the skids. They've lost 5 games in a row while the Yankees have gone through this slide. And this Yankee slide now has been 2 weeks. They're losing series after series. They can't get out of their own way. And then other than having 2 magnificent players at the top of their prowess in Soto and Judge, and, you know, it's a question of who's going to top whom. Soto just missed his 2nd home run of the game last night. Judge rips a double, hits a grand slam. I mean, they're immense. They're the best 1-2 punch in baseball. They don't have Stanton right now. They don't have Rizzo right now, although Rizzo hasn't been Rizzo this year. They're getting nothing out of Torres right now. Absolutely nothing. And they are so weak at the corners right now. I've never been a big Cabrera guy. But if you're asking if it's Cabrera or LeMahieu, you got to play Cabrera. I mean, the way LeMahieu looks, and I'm not a big Cabrera guy, and the way Rizzo has looked this year, the Yankees might need to go get a bat that can play on the corners. Stands out a little while. Against righties, they're going to look better, okay? Because Grisham's going to play, and I've told you all year, I like Grisham. I know he's gotten off to a bad start with the bat, but he's been up 60 times. He's hit 4 home runs. He catches the ball great. He's a Gold Glove outfielder. He can steal a base. He'll get walks. He just hasn't really hit yet. He's hitting 130. But he walks, and he hits home runs. and he can steal a base, and he's a Gold Glove outfielder. So he's got use. Him in the lineup, I don't mind. But Torres has got to snap out of it. I mean, I have no problem with the Yankees playing him. But right now, you got to bat him cleanup. But last night, unless you're going to bat Verdugo cleanup against a lefty, what else are you doing? Because there's nothing in that lineup right now. That lineup last night after Judge's, hey, if you can get past Soto and Judge, the game's over. Volpe's fine. No one's got any issues with him. He hasn't had a great first half, but he's spraying the ball better. He's using the field. His batting average is up. His power is down a little. Fine. Okay? He's still learning to be what kind of hitter he wants to be. But he's not an issue. Verdugo, despite the fact you like him when he's facing a righty at Yankee Stadium, he still gets enough. He's got 9 homers and 16 doubles, so you're not worried about. And he plays a really good outfield. You're not worried about Verdugo. You're all worried about what you're putting on the field otherwise. Jones at DH. J.D. Davis. All right, the catches are the catches. And Trevino's having trouble, obviously, in terms of stolen bases. But you got to blame the pitchers for part of that also. Are you worried about Cole? No. Cole's just going through what you knew he was going to go through. That's all. You just got to let him go through it. He'll be fine. If he's healthy, the only thing you're worried about with Cole is he's feeling pain. If he's feeling pain, then you got to be worried. If he's not, then just let him go through what he needs to go through. He'll get it together. See, the Yankees and their fans got overconfident because they got a great run of starting pitching. Really an outrageous run of starting pitching. The pitchers pitched over their head early in the season. Now that's coming back to the norm. Okay, that's going to happen. Most of the time, players will seek their numbers. They get off terrible, they'll get better. If they get off hot, they'll get colder. They'll wind up pretty much where they want, within 10% of where they're supposed to be. That's the way it usually works. That's why players, regulars are regulars and bench players are bench players. Right now, the Yankees are not a deep or powerful lineup. They're putting a lot of outs in the lineup right now. And they look far less formidable against the lefty right now because you don't have Stanton in the lineup. I would, if I'm them, pitch around Judge. Soto can hit anybody. We know that. But Verdugo is going to not be in a powerful spot there, and Grisham's going to be on the bench. And if you're going to get nothing out of Torres and nothing out of LeMahieu, and you got to play, J.D. Davis at first base. Now, J.D. Davis is not terrible. He can hit a home run. But you don't want him to be anything more than, a bit player for you if you're a contending team. So the Yankees right now are putting a far less than formidable lineup on the field. And, they couldn't get, last night, bases loaded, no out, strikes out the side. It's the way the game started. Peterson did a good job. He didn't get through 5. He threw a lot of pitches, but he got a lot of strikeouts in big spots. And he got out of that first inning, which was bases loaded, no out. Because once you got past the first 3 hitters, it's a whole different world. They didn't hit all night. They did nothing all night. So this becomes a big game tonight. It's a psychologically big game for the Mets because it gets them to 500. And if they could beat the Yankees both games, now they're starting to believe in themselves. And Martinez has made the difference in that lineup. Yes, Lindor's hitting in the top spot. Nimmo's got plenty of pop. Martinez has made a big difference. They haven't gotten a huge year out of Alonso yet. But Vientos has given them plenty of power. Alvarez is a very good hitting catcher. So all of a sudden, their lineup's okay. And listen, McNeil's had a bad year so far, just like Torres has, but he's capable. And they've gotten a lot of debate in the bottom of the lineup. He's had a good year. And he had a home run last night, and he's had a big year for them. He's been instrumental in a lot of ways. So they have to be pretty happy right now, although they don't have a lot of pitching. And their bullpen ain't going to scare anybody. That's for sure. I mean, their pitching is... If the Mets are going to try and stay in this, and right now you'd think with this crazy wild card in the National League where you got so many teams bottled up, and the Mets right in the middle of it at 38 and 39, the Mets should be buyers, which means go out and get a starting pitcher or two. Go out and get some bullpen help. You can afford it. You don't have to do anything with the lineup right now. And might be able to, steal a wild card in a very mediocre National League other than the teams at the top. As for the Yankees, I think this is actually a good thing because they were rolling along at such a untouchable mode where they were just beating up people. They were winning. They were pounding people. And everyone was, hey, this team's going to win 105, and it's going to do this, and it's going to do that. And now they've come rocketing back to earth. So it allows them to really hold up the mirror and look at what this team is right now and see where the warts are and go out and fix things. There's no reason in that American League why they can't compete. They're going to be a postseason team. We know that. And they should be. It's going to probably take 95 games to win the division. The Orioles are going to get back on the horse, too. Right now, they've hit the skids and not taking advantage of the Yankee slide. I mean, they beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. They've beaten them 5 out of 7 this year, but they haven't taken advantage of what the Yankees have done lately because they've gone out and lost 5 games in a row. And remember, the Astros are coming. I told you a couple of weeks ago the Astros were coming, and they were 8 games under at that time. I think right now, they're 1 under. So I expect the Astros to be in the postseason this year. I expect them to be right there. And they're starting to play like you would expect the Astros to play. So don't think you're going to get away from them. And the Red Sox are improving. And they have cut into that lead by a lot now. I don't think they're going to challenge for the division, but they have a good chance of making the postseason. And if you look all of a sudden, Tampa's now starting to play better, and they're back to 500. Just when it looked like they were going to fall completely out of it, they were 5 games under 500 about 10 days ago. Now they're 500 again. So these teams are starting to play better, while the Orioles and the Yankees have hit a dry patch. The Yankees have some things to fix. They have to treat things with reality. They have to really take a hard look at LeMahieu and take a hard look at Rizzo. They can't do anything about Torres. They got to play him and just let him play out of it. And if he doesn't play out of it, you know what? His Yankee career ends on a lousy note. But they have to run with him. Not going to hurt your second base. You would think he'd get some big hits, but boy, they've been few and far between this year. And I've always found him to be a decent bat in a big spot, but he looks terrible this year. And I don't like when he doesn't hustle, when he goes into his sulking. And he's in that mode right now. Yankees can use some help, and they need to be aggressive when it comes to the trade deadline. Now, we thought the Mets were going to be sellers because they were sitting 10 games under 500. Now they've rallied. If they want to be a team that's actually going to go to the postseason, they have to get better in the pitching department because their pitching's not going to hold up the way it's constituted right now. It's just not. Their offense, it's okay. It's okay. They got enough in that line, especially if Vientos is, I wasn't big on Beatty. Vientos is worth looking at because he's got pop. You make a mistake to him, it's going out of the ballpark. I mean, he had 2 out last night. And he hit a ball out to right center field that I didn't think was going out of the ballpark, and it went out of the ballpark. He's got power. A lot of power. Not a good fielder, but he's got a lot of power. Is he going to be a consistent enough hitter? We'll see. So this becomes a really interesting game. If the Mets can get to 5-9, that's a big win. The Yankees need Hill to go out there tonight and give them a big effort. Go out there and shut the Mets down for 6 innings and let them get out of there with a split and kind of get their equilibrium. Because if the Yankees lose this game tonight, they are really in a spin. Plus, they just got beat 2 by the Mets, which they don't love. So there'll be a little edginess to the game last night. There was a little bit last night because Cole came in on Alonso, and then Judge got hit, and Judge didn't seem to like it. He got his revenge the way you're supposed to get it, hitting the ball out of the ballpark. I mean, he and Soto was so good. I mean, you love what Soto's going to be such a good player in the postseason to watch because he doesn't come close to giving away an at-bat. He doesn't even give away a pitch. I mean, he is on everything, every pitch. It's amazing. He is really good. And Judge is immense. I mean, what can you say? Sometimes he looks like he came down from a higher league with the size of him. He really does. And what he brings to the plate and stuff. I mean, but you can't have the rest of the lineup go 1 for 20. Expect to win. And when your ace gets beat up, but right now he's not your ace yet. You got to take that in. He's still in spring training. And it looked like it last night. And you can tell nothing burns him more to pitch in a spotlight game and get ripped. He won a happy camper last night, and he shouldn't be. He got embarrassed. So it makes tonight again. I'm not going tonight. I'll be watching on TV. But I've always, as you know, been an enormous supporter of the Subway Series. And last night it showed New York again what it means. All the people entering the ballpark, and I was talking to a lot of them in their Yankee stuff and in their Mets stuff, and all pumped up and all excited, and kids and families. And you know what? That's what it's about. They filled the ballpark last night. And I don't know what the Mets are doing with the lights during the game, but I mean, all of a sudden they make it seem like you're at a concert or something. But all of a sudden they're playing with the lights during the game. I mean, it's a little crazy. But hey, I said let them have their fun because they're not used to anybody being in their ballpark. They used to be in there by themselves. Last night it was full, and it was exciting. Now, draft time. Interesting at the top of the draft is what happens to Klingon because you don't have a lot of teams there at the top that need a center. But you keep hearing how all these teams want to trade in. Does Atlanta take the European player like we expect them to, or do they trade the pick? Or do they shock everybody and take Klingon? I don't think they take Klingon. They keep the pick. They take, one of the two, and I think it's, Sar's going to go second. Rizic is going to go first. But they could trade the pick. Houston at 3 could definitely trade the pick. If they don't, I think Shepard and Castle go off in the top 5. One of them goes to San Antonio, which is going to be big for San Antonio. Shepard's very hot right now. So is Castle, who's moved. Listen, I told you all along I thought Castle would be a lottery pick. Now he's a top 5 pick. And Klingon could go anywhere because he's not getting past Portland 7, but he should go way before 7. The question is, does somebody trade in who needs a center? You got the 2 foreign kids. Then you got Shepard and Castle and Klingon. And we'll see. It gets interesting after that. But you're going to see a couple of UConn guys go off fast. Shepard, who was at the game last night, he's probably not getting past 3 or 4 in the draft. Everyone seems to feel, and this is where you're at a loss a little bit, because I can talk to you about Shepard, I can talk to you about Castle and Klingon. I never saw these 2 foreign players play. They have them listed 1, 2 everywhere. You got to take their word for it that they know they're good players. I have never seen them play, so you got to just go on what they tell you, and what the scouts say, and they're listed at the top of every list, so they have to be pretty good players. So again, that's the one thing about the NBA draft that happens is you get these guys that none of us ever see. And, I'm not going to take the time to go watch what's going on over there. So we'll take their word, the scouts' word, that they know what they're doing and that they could go 1, 2 in the draft, which everyone seems to feel they will, if there isn't a trade. Now, let's see what happens. And I'm interested in where Shepard goes. I'm interested in where Castle goes. I'm interested in where Klingon goes. We'll see how that unfolds right here. Now, a couple things. Number one, before I get to a couple of emails, let me tell you that BetRivers has their MLB midweek same-game parlay profit boost. Here's how it works. Add more value to the midweek slate as you go through the summer with the BetRivers midweek same-game parlay. They have a profit boost each Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You log into the BetRivers app, claim your profit boost, then apply it to a same-game parlay at odds of either even money or better. Each leg must be minus 200 or longer odds to qualify for the promotion, depending on your loyalty level. And if you have the app, you have a loyalty level based on how much you bet and how often you bet, I guess. You'll get a boost of 25% or as much as 100%. Visit the BetRivers app for full details and get your midweek same-game parlay boost. Now, remember, just check out the app. Anyway, it gets better all the time. They got a lot of little promotions on there and everything else. And obviously all the football futures are on there, all the totals, win totals, college football stuff, everything is on there. Looking forward, and it should be interesting from that standpoint. Now, you want to send me some emails, send them to the Mike Francesa podcast at gmail.com. Mike Francesa podcast at gmail.com. Now, as I told you, these live programs, we're going to do them periodically in the summertime. We're going to do them regularly once we get to football season. We are going to be able to take your questions on the screen, and we're going to eventually be able to take calls. We're working on that technology right now to institute that into the program as we go forward. As today we're on the Mike Francesa channel on the BetRivers Network on YouTube. So all that's coming. So be looking for that as we head towards the fall. Okay, a couple of things here on. Let me get a couple of questions in. Now, first one. Vientos and your thoughts on him and your concerns on him. He's been regarded as a good field no-hit player with power. I'm not going to worry about it. I will take his defense where it is right now for the power he provides, as long as he's a decent, consistent hitter. And so far, he's been that. He's got to keep doing that. I was not a fan of Beatty. I did not think he was a big time talent. Vientos has a chance here. He was obviously very pumped up last night. You go hit 2 home runs in the Subway Series against Cole. That's a big deal. He's hit a lot of home runs. He had hit 3 home runs in his last 4 or 5 pitches that he'd seen. So he's got pop. We know that. He can hit anybody out of the ballpark in any direction, and that makes him a interesting prospect. Dan, it was interesting to hear you say you watched the Stanley Cup Finals. I had the same experience. I normally do not watch once the Rangers are out. I find myself watching the series and more on the regular. Basically, he's asking, and I thought about this year. Compare the NHL playoffs to the NBA playoffs. I thought the NHL playoffs were infinitely more entertaining than the NBA playoffs. You want to, of course, call it a bad year for the NBA? Fine. They didn't have a lot of competitive series with the Celtics, injuries and different things. And give the Celtics credit for their championship. I haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I don't think a Florida Edmonton series was going to give them any big boost in the national audience as far as that went. Number one, Florida is not a big one of the teams you think is going to give you that, what Detroit would give you or Chicago would give you or the Rangers would give you. And you got a Canadian team in there. That hurts too. So from that standpoint, I don't expect the ratings to be anything significant. But I thought their product, from an entertainment standpoint, was much better. And I thought that their presentation was good. I thought their TV presentation was good. I enjoyed Steve Levy and Messier. I enjoyed Sean McDonough and Ferraro. I know some people get annoyed with Sean. I've known Sean a long time. He's a good announcer. Knows the game. I thought they did a good job. I don't get into biases. People are crazy about that stuff anyway, about who's biased for what. They're not biased. They just want good games. Every announcer, I told you, I've been around network television since I was a baby. All announcers wanted good games because good games mean people are watching, and that's what they want. They want good, close games. That's all they want. I thought the product was well done. I thought they did a good job with the television. I thought they did a good job. I would say this. I think it hurts the finals not to have an MVP just for the finals, because I do think it detracted having a guy who did not. Now, I understand he broke records. I understand he's the best player in the league. I understand he set records in games 4 and 5. To give him the MVP in a losing effort when he did not do anything in game 6 or game 7 is hard to justify, but it's for the whole playoffs. I understand that. I think that is a hard thing to sell. You wrap up the finals. The finals should have its own MVP. Just my thought. Plus, I like to see someone from the winning team win it. I just think it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like a reward from that standpoint. I'm not knocking his performance in any way, and I know he was brilliant in games 4 and 5. I understand how good a player he is, and he's impressive to watch. He skates incredibly fast. He does some amazing things. He was highly frustrated by what went on in game 7. I understand that. He's a wonderful talent. I'm not getting into any of that. What I'm saying is I think the finals should have its own MVP. I think it's easier to sell it that way. And I think the finals MVP should come from the winning team. I just think it should. I just think it's hard to sell it. I mean, I understand that guys can have incredible losing performances. But you want to reward somebody, I think, with somebody coming from the winning side. That's just the way it is. I think it just fits better that way. I was happy to see Florida win. I was rooting for them. I did not come away thinking the better team won, but that doesn't matter. They won the game. I was very happy for them. I really liked their coach. I was impressed by him. I didn't know him very well before the series, before the Rangers series. I watched him a lot in the Rangers series. I watched his press conference. He's a bright guy. He's a witty guy. And I was very happy that he won. And he was so overjoyed when he did. It was a big relief for him and for that franchise. So I thought it was a good win for them. Congratulations to their ownership, who I do know a little bit. And it was a very good win for Florida. And I think a very good year for the NHL. And if you notice, they don't announce Bettman. They just say, ladies and gentlemen, the Conn Smythe Trophy, ladies and gentlemen, the Stanley Cup. They never say, here's the commissioner, because they don't want to see him get booed. But he would get booed, but they didn't announce him. He just kind of showed up. It was kind of weird. Thoughts on the current dominant run by Scotty Scheffler? It's amazing. I understand he's not playing against the same level of competition with the live stuff, but his performance is amazing and it should be regarded. AJS, better player all time, Larry Bird or Curry? Curry or Bird? I'm sorry, Bird. Curry's an amazing shooter. Bird was a better player. That's not even a hard one. Can the Knicks bring OG back? Like I said, OG and Isaiah would be the perfect landing and let Randall and Robinson go, but it might not be easy to do. We'll see you later.